Hello and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato, and today we're going to be answering a question from our audience on how do European countries navigate their relationships with both China and the United States, considering the economic opportunities and geopolitical dynamics at play. So I'm going to look at 5 countries, and I think these countries are pretty salient for the current moment, pretty important to go over. And the first country to look at here in terms of how they interact with China and the United States is the United Kingdom. And so remember, United Kingdom was the world superpower before the United States. They really handed over the mantle to the United States. And so you can kind of see some interesting dynamics there where United Kingdom had a very peaceful transition to handing over the mantle to the United States. Obviously not peaceful in terms of the world wars that occurred, but peaceful in terms of they had a good relationship with the upcoming superpower of the United States. However, the United States has a really bad relationship with the upcoming superpower of China now. And so United Kingdom is, I would say, very closely aligned with the American faction. In fact, they're culturally very similar. They're all a part of the Anglo cultural sphere. And United Kingdom, I think, expected to be treated more highly and to have more influence due to the fact that they peacefully transfer power to the United States. But the United States really did dismantle all of the United Kingdom's influence after World War II. And United Kingdom right now, their entire foreign policy and even their domestic policy to a pretty large extent is controlled by the United States. And so there's not really any balancing act there. If there are things that are not in the United Kingdom's best interest, but aligns with American interest, United Kingdom will do those things. And so there are economic ties, trade ties, military ties, all different sorts of ties that they could have with China that would be a win-win situation for China and the United Kingdom. But the United Kingdom is just not willing to make really any of those ties as long as the United States says that United Kingdom should not be close to China. And so China's doing its best to work with the United Kingdom, but the United Kingdom either doesn't have any options or is unwilling to use any options in order to express or exert any autonomy, any agency for themselves as a nation. And I mean, I think their rebuttal here would be that, well, United Kingdom broke off from the EU, and so they do have autonomy, they do have agency, they were able to make that decision. But really, that decision, yes, it showed some signs of sovereignty for the United Kingdom, but I think it was only allowed to happen because of the fact that it decoupled the United Kingdom from the EU, obviously, which made it easier for the United States to dominate the United Kingdom. And so I think if the United States did not want the UK to move away from the EU, it would not have happened. And so the UK is really here out on a limb, and its only real allies are places like the United States, which are very obviously showing that they're willing to betray the United Kingdom as long as it benefits the United States. And so United Kingdom is not doing any sort of balancing act here. They're a complete puppet to the United States. They're even willing to do things that would harm their own nation as long as it benefits the United States. So the question again, how do European countries navigate their relationships with both China and the US, considering the economic opportunities and geopolitical dynamics at play? The next country to take here is France. France at one point in time was a world superpower. They had a colonial empire. France, to a very large extent, has been dismantled. I would say even more so than the United Kingdom. But at least in their domestic sphere, they actually do have a degree of autonomy, a degree of agency. They're willing to kind of buck the trend of being a puppet of the United States every once in a while to a certain extent. It's hard to know how much of that is just an act and how much of that is legitimate. Like, how far could the leader of France, Macron, actually go before the United States kind of reeled them in? And so France does have, I would say, at least the illusion of more agency, more autonomy than the United Kingdom from the United States. But still, they're a puppet to the United States, and they're still doing all the same things that the United States wants. But they just might give a little bit more public complaint about doing those things that the United States wants. And so they're trying to balance a little bit more between China and the United States than United Kingdom is. France is not a part of that Anglosphere. They're kind of like Anglo-adjacent. They were a major competitor to the United Kingdom at one point in time, but now they're very close to the United Kingdom. And so they're in a weird situation, a little bit of a better situation, I would say, than the United Kingdom, just because of how alone the United Kingdom is right now. The next country worth talking about, how do European countries navigate their relationships with both China and the US, considering the economic opportunities and geopolitical dynamics at play? This country is Germany. Germany is a very, very, very interesting situation. Germany at one point in time was a huge powerhouse throughout the world. Obviously, it threatened the entire world during World War II, and the combined power of major upcoming and declining powers such as the United Kingdom, France, United States, Soviet Union, they all came together to defeat Germany. And for the longest time, Germany was split up between East and West Germany, and so it wasn't even a whole country at certain points, and it lost a lot of territory during its surrender in World War I and World War II. And so Germany is really a shadow of its former self, its former strength. And United States, to its credit, has helped Germany in terms of rebuilding after World War II. And Germany is, I would say, a manufacturing industrial powerhouse, but it comes with a lot of limitations. And there's this saying that goes around that United States' goal in Europe was to keep United States in, Germany down, and Russia out. And the reason for that was because of the fact that the United States did not want a resource powerhouse such as Russia to align with a manufacturing powerhouse such as Germany. And we're seeing what ends up happening, though, when Russia finds another manufacturing powerhouse, in this case, China, in order to align with. But Germany is kind of left out cold, where Germany does not really have a resource powerhouse to align with. Sure, you could say the United States is that resource powerhouse, because the United States has an abundance of resources, not as much as Russia, but still an abundance. But the thing is, the United States has shown every indication that it's willing to backstab Germany whenever it wants to. Look at the Nord Stream pipeline bombing. Now, we don't have an official recognition of this, but the United States has hinted on multiple occasions, and some people have even thanked the United States for this, but the United States has hinted on multiple occasions that they are the ones who did the Nord Stream bombing. And so just think about that for a second. The Nord Stream pipelines were the economic energy infrastructure of both Germany and Russia. And in the more German side of those pipelines, some country bombed those pipelines, destroyed the energy infrastructure of Germany. And all indications show that that is the United States that did that. And so this terroristic act, this act of what I would call betrayal, seemingly was done by the United States. If you read Seymour Hersh's article, it seems like it's extremely likely, and I'm completely confident it was the United States. It makes complete sense that it was the United States. And so Germany is left with very few options, and of the options of the options available to it, it's not willing to take any of the options that would actually benefit its nation, such as aligning more with China. China is fully willing to align with Germany. I don't think it sees Germany as much of a competitor anymore. Germany has a lot of declining characteristics in terms of things like fertility rate, in terms of its population as a whole, in terms of the resources it has available to it, in terms of its location, now that it lost a lot of territory in World Wars I and II. There's a lot of factors that make Germany disadvantaged when it comes to being a manufacturing powerhouse that makes it not really a competitor to China in that regard. It can still be a regional manufacturing powerhouse, but it will never be a world superpower based off of its manufacturing capacity, given the current characteristics of Germany. And so China is fully willing to work with Germany to benefit Germany through win-win cooperation, but Germany, because of how controlled it is not willing to do that. It's completely controlled by the United States, to the point where something that would be grounds for a declaration of war, such as the energy infrastructure terrorism that the United States did against Germany with the bombing of the Nord Stream pipelines, if they were the ones that did it, which I'm very confident they were, those types of acts should have completely broken off ties between Germany and the United States if Germany was a sovereign country, and that's at minimum. At worst, it would have been an outright war. And so the fact that Germany did not do those things, it did not react in a way that a sane country would if it had sovereignty, that tells us that Germany does not have many options when it comes to how it balances its relationship with China and the United States. While working with China would be of complete benefit to Germany, the United States is not going to allow it, and the United States has shown a willingness to outright attack the energy infrastructure of its allies. And so there's not really much Germany has in regards to what it can do to free itself in this situation. The next country should be a surprise to many people. How do European countries navigate their relationships with both China and the US, considering the economic opportunities and geopolitical dynamics at play? So Greece, by all accounts, being an Orthodox Christian nation, should be very closely aligned with the China-Russia axis, but because of the fact that Turkey seems to be pivoting more to the Russia-China axis, Greece, a longtime rival of Turkey, due to historical reasons around the Byzantine Empire, Greece has been pivoting more and more to a U.S. faction side, despite the fact that Greece is heavily in debt and being a part of the European Union has not really been a benefit of Greece. Greece is doing what seems to amount to national suicide in terms of pivoting towards the United States instead of the Russia-China axis of the world. And so Greece, again, is one of those countries that's not really balancing the opportunities at play for them and not doing the things that would actually be in their interest. And so all of these countries so far have not really done things that are actually in their interest, like tangibly, quantifiably, objectively, what it's doing by pivoting, what all these countries are doing by pivoting towards the United States instead of China, are not in their nation's interest. And the last country we'll take here, how do European countries navigate their relationships with both China and the United States, considering the economic opportunities and geopolitical dynamics at play, is Poland. We'll talk in a separate segment on Ukraine because that deserves its own segment, but Poland is in a somewhat similar situation to Ukraine in that the United States is fully willing to use the Polish people, the Polish military, to fight its wars in Eastern Europe against places like Russia. The one thing Poland has going for it, and I would say makes it distinct from these other countries, is Poland actually does get a lot of resources from the European Union and from the United States. And so Poland actually is getting supported and has seen tangible benefits since the collapse of the Soviet Union. If you actually pull a lot of these countries after the collapse of the Soviet Union that used to be part of the Soviet Union sphere of influence, they would say that in a lot of cases they were better off under communism than they are today. But Poland's one of those rare countries that actually would not say it's better off under communism than it was today. And to a large extent, that's because of the fact that it's being funded, it's being subsidized by Western Europe and by North America, such as the United States, to be propped up as kind of a sacrificial lamb against Russia. And so Poland, I would say, if it's looking at its short-term interest, it actually does benefit from its current alignment in terms of aligning more with the United States versus China. It's benefiting quite a bit in terms of just getting free money. I would say in the more medium to long term, it's not in Poland's best interest to align with the United States, given the fact that it might be the next Ukraine. Given the way that things have been escalating over and over and over again, there's so many red lines that we thought people would never cross when it came to war, particularly in Europe after World Wars I and II, that have been crossed. But yeah, Poland is doing things that aligns it with the United States, which makes sense in the short term, because at least it's benefiting in the short term, unlike these other countries. But in the long term and medium term is not benefiting it. So that's kind of the balance it's taking. Poland doesn't really have many opportunities to tie itself closely with the Russia-China axis. Russia because of historical grudges against it, and China due to the distance between China and Poland and the fact that there's not really that many trade routes that lead from China to Poland, and the fact that Poland is one of those countries that I would say is of major significance to the United States, and so the United States is willing to actually invest tangible money, tangible assets, tangible goods into propping up Poland. And so Poland is doing, unlike these other four countries, doing something that I think at least somewhat makes sense by pivoting towards the United States. But again, in the long term, it makes more sense to align with China, who has shown an interest in win-win cooperation, whereas the United States only allows you to get so big before it would rather have win-lose cooperation with you, where the United States wins and these other countries lose. It's shown that in how it dismantled the United Kingdom. It's shown it in how it has attacked energy infrastructure in Germany. It's shown it in how Greece, despite being centrally located, has been in a terrible situation, and the United States and these various other international bodies that have provided Greece loans have pushed austerity measures on Greece and has made the Greece economy suffer and the Greek people suffer. So Poland is really the one kind of standout where it at least benefits somewhat from its current alignment between the China-U.S. dispute, but the others, not so much. So if you liked my analysis, my discussion on this question, please like the video. And if you want to hear more from me, please subscribe to the video. I also read and respond to any comments you have, and I might even make a video of it like this video. So please comment if you would like as well. And thank you for listening. We'll be back with more segments and live streams in the future. Bye.